Thank you, Your Honor. Robert Palmer of the Public Defender's Office, appearing on behalf of Mr. Hurd for the purposes of arraignment. Mr. Hurd will be making application for court-appointed counsel.
Thank you. And sir, are you Eric Allen Hurd?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Hurd, today's your arraignment. What I have here is a felony complaint. This alleges that on or about June 18, 2024, at 618 East Kalamazoo Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan, count 1, possession of methamphetamine, that you did knowingly or intentionally possess methamphetamine. That's a felony punishable by up to 10 years and or $15,000. Count 2, uttering and publishing counterfeit bills or notes that you did with intent to defraud or injure, utter, pass, or tender in payment as true a false, altered, forged, or counterfeit note, knowing the instrument was false, forged, altered, or counterfeit. That's a felony punishable by 5 years and or $2,500. Count 3, resisting or obstructing, that you did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Officer Michael McGregor, a police officer of the Lansing Police Department that defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his duties. Felony, 2 years and or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed if the assault was committed in a place of confinement or for another violation arising out of the same transaction. Habitual offender, 4th offense notice. Take notice defendant was previously convicted of 3 or more felonies or attempts to commit felonies in the on or about May 16, 2014. He was convicted of resisting or obstructing a police officer in the 56th Circuit Court for Eaton County. And on or about July 9, 2014, he was convicted of the offense of resisting or obstructing a police officer in the 56A District Court for Eaton County, State of Michigan. And on or about April 1st, 2021, he was convicted of the offense of resisting or obstructing a police officer in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County. Therefore, defendant is subjected to enhanced penalties. Life if the primary offense has a penalty of 5 years or more. 15 years or less if the primary offense has a penalty under 5 years. The maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for a first conviction. So that means count 1, possession of methamphetamine, becomes a life offense. Count 2, uttering and publishing a counterfeit bill, becomes a life offense. Count 3, resisting or obstructing a police officer, becomes a 15-year offense. Do you understand the charges and the possible penalties?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to have an attorney in this matter. If you cannot afford one, we'll see if the public defender will represent you. You have the right to have a trial. That could be by jury. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say orally or in writing will be used against you in court. You have the right to have an attorney present with you during any questioning by law enforcement. Mr. Palmer said you're requesting a public defender, so I'll put that in the file. Mr. Hurd, do you understand your rights? Pardon?
Get a PR bond?
Can you get a PR bond? I haven't gotten to that. I don't know why you're interrupting me.
Sorry.
Okay. You have the right to have a preliminary exam. That's a hearing where the government must bring some evidence to demonstrate probable cause to believe the felonies occurred and probable cause to believe that you're the person who committed the felonies. Before that day, you will have a probable cause conference. That's a day where you, your lawyer, and the prosecutor make sure that you have all the evidence and information you need to be ready for preliminary exam. Your probable cause conference is scheduled for June 27, 9:30 with Judge Ward. Preliminary exam will be July 5th, 10 a.m., also with Judge Ward. That first hearing may be done by video conference like we're doing now. But if you can't video conference, don't know how, your phone's broken, you have to come in person. The second date is absolutely in person because evidence and testimony may be presented at that time. Mr. Hurd, they didn't give me an address for you. Do you have an address where you can receive mail? Is that in Lansing? Because
Yeah, it's in Waverly.
I'm sorry, you were yawning. What did you say?
Waverly Community.
Whose place is that?
That's
I'm sorry, whose place is that?
others.
Others. I mean, friends, family.
Family.
Okay. Because I'm not just putting somebody's address down for mail to go there if you don't have any relationship to the address. That's why I asked whose place it is.
I said dad at first, and I said father the second time, and I said family the third time.
Well, what I heard was you say others, and I was just trying to get clarity. I'm sorry. What's the phone number that you can be reached at? Mr. Palmer, before I asked for your bond argument. I just want to let you know, I'm going to be arraigning him next on a DV third charge. I have his Michigan criminal history here. There we go.
I thought that was pending.
And the Michigan criminal history shows, let's see, 2010 assault misdemeanor, 2011 retail fraud, 2011 DV, 2011 DV again,
I see what's going on here.
2012 marijuana, MDOP, 2014 the RNO, which is probably in the habitual, 2014 looks like a joyriding maybe, and RNO, driving suspended, 2016 marijuana, 17 marijuana, 18 marijuana, 2018 RNC under 200 second offense. 2018, I can't actually tell the disposition. There was an FTD thing, but it doesn't have the disposition reported. And then 2018 retail fraud. 2018 retail fraud. Nope, that one was dismissed. 2021 RNO, 2 counts, it looks like. And then 2021, a domestic violence. 2023 aggravated stalking. Okay. That's everything from Michigan that I have. Mr. Palmer on bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask that the court consider a personal recognizance bond. I recognize that Mr. Hurd does have criminal history. Nonetheless, he has a presumption of innocence in these matters. Mr. Hurd has provided an address here in Lansing where he can be reached both by mail and telephone. Additionally, Mr. Hurd has employment here in mid-Michigan. He is working at the McDonald's. Certainly, as I say, he has a presumption of innocence. I would ask that the court consider a personal recognizance bond for Mr. Hurd.
I don't think a personal recognizance bond will ensure Mr. Hurd's appearance at court. The reason being that he was, at least according to the affidavit, attempting to leave the scene and not cooperate with law enforcement and giving a false name at the time. That's what's alleged. But on top of that, he has at least 3 prior RNO convictions, as well as the fact that he has that habitual, which makes the penalties pretty substantial in this case. So for the purposes of ensuring appearance, I am going to set a bond.
I appear to all my court dates.
Bond will be set at $4,000, 10%, subject to the following conditions. You must appear for all your court dates. I gave you 2, June 27 and July 5th with Judge Ward. Do not leave the state without permission. Do not commit any crimes. You must keep us up to date on your address and telephone number so that you can receive court notices. You must report to pretrial services within the first business day of your release. So that they can keep track of you on felony bond. Do not use alcohol, marijuana, illegal controlled substances. Do not possess or purchase a firearm or a dangerous weapon while on bond. Do you understand your bond conditions, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hurd, that will be this file, but I have to do the second file now, as I told you. So we're going to keep going here. All right, on the record in State of Michigan versus Eric Allen Hurd Jr. 2401305 FY. I still have Mr. Palmer here and Mr. Hurd here appearing by video. Mr. Hurd, in this case, I have a felony complaint that alleges that on or about March 24, 2024, at 3120 Turner Street, Apartment A, City of Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan. Count 1 is domestic violence, that you did make an assault or assault and battery on Jamia Myers, an individual with whom you have a child in common, or an individual with whom you've had a dating relationship. That normally would be a misdemeanor, but I have a third offense notice. Take notice, defendant was previously convicted of assaulting and battering his spouse, former spouse, an individual with whom he's had a child in common, an individual with whom he's had a dating relationship, or a resident or former resident of his household, or knowingly assaulting a pregnant individual on or about April 7, 2011, and on or about April 1st, 2021. Therefore, upon conviction will be subjected to an enhanced sentence, felony 5 years and or $5,000. But I also have the habitual offender 4th offense notice on this. It's the same as the other one. It says take notice, defendant was previously convicted of 3 or more felonies or attempt to commit felonies, July 19, 2014, resisting and obstructing in Eaton County. April 1, 2021, resisting and obstructing in Ingham County. And then it says February 16, 2023, aggravated stalking in Ingham County. Therefore, life if the primary offense has a penalty of 5 years or more, the maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for a first conviction. So domestic violence third offense has become a life offense. You understand that charge and the possible penalties, Mr. Hurd?
Yes, Your Honor.
You, again, have the right to have an attorney in this matter. If you cannot afford one, we'll see if the public defender will represent you. You have the right to have a trial that can be by jury. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say orally or in writing will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present with you during any questioning by law enforcement. They gave me a Judge Flores court notice, but this is a judge. It's my case, but I think it's going to get transferred to Judge Ward with the other file. Not 100% sure, but what's going to happen is they're going to assign both your files to the same judge, and they're going to end up with the same court date. But right now they have them scheduled sort of separately, maybe on June 27 with Judge Ward and June 28 with Judge Flores, July 5th with Judge Ward and July 5th with Judge Flores. I would expect those to be consolidated into one court date. I'm going to copy over the address and phone number information you just gave me. And I've put in this file that you've requested a public defender, just like you did for the other file. You will have a right to have a preliminary exam, as I said, because it is a felony charge. That hearing is a hearing where the government must bring some evidence to demonstrate probable cause to believe the felony occurred and probable cause to believe that you're the person who committed the felony. At this moment, I can't tell you when your probable cause conference will be because it will depend on which judge is assigned, but I can tell you your preliminary exam is going to be July 5th for sure. And that will be in person. All right, Mr. Palmer, I don't know if you need to add anything for bond consideration at this moment for this file.
Your Honor, it would be the same bond argument that Mr. Hurd has ties to the community and a presumption of innocence. He has stable housing and stable employment. Okay, so I asked him for a mailing address because the jail wrote all over his file that he is homeless. So I guess I don't know. Mr. Hurd, do you stay with your dad or is that just your mailing address?
Mailing address.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want no PR bond or nothing. If I don't got a PR bond, I don't want no PR bond on none of the rest of the cases.
I understand what you mean.
I want the Freemasons.
All right, in this case, in order to ensure public safety based on the assaultive nature of the offense, the habitual offender notice, the repeated nature of the allegations, I will set bond at $5,000, 10% with conditions. You must not leave the state without permission. Do not commit crimes while released. Notify the court in writing if you change your address or telephone number. You must report to pre-trial services your first day you're released from jail, the first business day after you're released from jail. Do not use alcohol, marijuana, illegal controlled substances. Do not possess or purchase a firearm or dangerous weapon. Do not engage in harassing, intimidating, stalking, or threatening behavior. Do not assault, harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, or threaten Jamia Myers. Do not have any direct or indirect contact with Jamia Myers. Do not cause a third party to have contact with her. You're not to be within 2,000 feet of where she lives, works, or goes to school. You are to wear a GPS tether with victim notification if possible to notify her if you enter within that 2,000-foot zone. This order of no contact is very serious. If you violate this order, you could be arrested without a warrant. Your bond could be revoked. You could be in contempt of court, for which you face up to 93 days in jail and or $7,500 in fines, separate and apart from that which you already face. This order is about you. It's not about her. So if she were texting you or calling you, she is allowed to do that. But if you text or call her, you're the one who goes to jail. She does not have authority to grant you permission to violate this order. If she invites you to meet up with her and you go, you'd still go to jail. You should also know that this order applies even while you are in jail. You make calls to her while you're in jail or send messages to her while you're in jail. A couple things could happen. One is you could be in contempt of court and still face that additional 93 days consecutive sentence and $7,500 in fine. You could lose your telephone privileges. The prosecutor listens to those calls. They may use those calls against you. They might also charge you with additional felonies. So it's a good idea to follow your bond, Mr. Hurd. You don't want to make a bad situation get more complicated, okay?
Correct.
All right. Mr. Palmer, we've talked to Mr. Hurd about both files and the charges, the bonds, the court dates. Anything else for Mr. Hurd?
I have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hurd, you're all set.